biosimilars meet will be held, we need to go to the expo center. So here, there are around 21 Indian companies who are displaying their products and services. So any industry from the LAC region, they can come to this platform and have one-to-one meetings with any of the Indian industries of their interest. So they just have to click on the booth, and then there are various ways of connecting with those industries and have a one-to-one meeting.
We are live now.
Okay. So this is what, yeah. So this is what the participant will be watching in the auditorium as we start this session. So to begin this session, sir, which is on the inaugural session on the business opportunities for the Indian industry in LAC countries, specifically in the Peru, Brazil, and Cuba. The virtual bachelor's meet, this is being supported by the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. So we'd like to thank them. So today in our session, we have eminent speakers, as in His Excellency Mr. M. Subbarayadu, the Ambassador of India to Peru and Bolivia. We have with us His Excellency Mr. Alexandro Simancas Marin, the Ambassador of Republic of Cuba to India. We also have with us Mr. B.C. Pradhan, the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of India to Brazil. And we are also joined by Mr. R. Arunlal Nandan, the Director of Foreign Trade, LAC Region, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. We'll be joined very soon by Mr. Jagmohan Monge, who is the Chair of the International Affairs Committee for Americas of PHDCCI, and he's also the President of the Uflex Packaging Company, which is a very big Indian company into packaging, and I think they have a strong bases in Latin American countries. So to begin the session with, I'll request Mr. R. Arunlal Nandan, the Director of Foreign Trade, Latin American countries, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, to deliver his special address.
Thank you, Mr. Neeraj. Good afternoon, dignitaries. Respected Indian Ambassador to Peru, Mr. Subbarayadu, sir, and Deputy Chief of Mission at Brazil, Mr. Pradhanji, and Mr. Commercial Representative to Peru, Mr. Raghuveer Singh, and of course, the top executives of the PhD Chamber of Commerce. Very good afternoon. We are indeed very happy about this events taking place at this juncture, especially we are reeling from the COVID, and then there are other international crises coming up as and when. So the interest shown by you, PhD Chamber of Commerce, is very useful for the industry. And with respect to trade, and all of us know the trade potential and what are the top products of importance, especially the textiles. Textiles has many subsectors like ready-made garments. Then there are other three sectors also. Then pharma products, and of course chemical is also there. And these 4-5 sectors constitute about 80% of our Indian exports to them. And that way, we have also seen that companies of your interest in these sectors, and this buyer-seller meet is going to be very useful for the entire sector. Number two, we were like discussing about what are the products and areas of importance for India in the Latin America. The one that is of late coming up is the Ayush. And with respect to Ayush, it is not like sufficient to have some lines of interest exchanged between the countries and between the regions. And there is a feeling and saying that the people at large in this region must accept the alternative medicine as a remedial measure, and also they should have this thing knowledge through booklets issued by our pharmaceutical companies, And I'm very happy that some of the embassies are working towards this with the translational aspects, as well as whatever way they could pitch in, they are doing that. So the idea why I'm mentioning this point is this: before any we get a market access of any product to any region, the information dissemination and marketing aspects to this area would be very important. And I'm seeing one of the companies, Ayush company. So without taking much of your time, thank you very much and all the best for the event. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Arulanandan. And of course, I mean, the sectors which you have mentioned is definitely the focus sectors. And now with the international air space opening up, so I think very soon we'll have the industry from India who will be interested in, we'll be taking them to those countries with those who representing those sectors. And I think there'll be a lot of interest in terms of strengthening the trade relation between these countries. So thank you so much, sir, for your inputs. May I now request His Excellency Mr. M. Subrayadu, the Ambassador of India to Peru and Bolivia, to give his important address and let the Indian industry know about the business in the region.
So, Sri Neeraj, Sri Jagmohan Mongia, and the entire team at PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ambassador Alejandro Simancas Marin, Ambassador of Cuba, my diplomatic colleagues, Sri Arula Nandan, Director, Department of Commerce, business and industry participants, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste, good afternoon, buenos dias. I am delighted to join this inaugural session on global trade and investment opportunities for Indian industry in Peru, Brazil, and Cuba. I wish to compliment the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing yet another focused buyer-seller meet over 2 days and its efforts to promote our business ties with South America. I noticed that every sector of focus included in this year's BSM is relevant in the context of our engagement with LAC countries in general and Peru in particular. Indian companies can certainly enhance trade and business ties with Peru in pharmaceuticals and healthcare, automobiles, textiles, chemicals, agriculture and agro products, food processing, renewable energy, and engineering. There are significant opportunities in these sectors. In fact, India's main exports to Peru fall under these categories. Peru is a promising economy rich in mineral and natural resources. After having registered a 13.3% growth last year, its GDP is expected to grow at around 4% between 2022 and 2026. Its main sectors like mining, hydrocarbons, energy, agriculture, textiles, chemicals, manufacturing, and other industry need quality and affordable inputs. That's where the opportunities for Indian companies. The complementary nature of economies offers scope for mutually rewarding partnerships. For the first time, our exports to Peru have crossed the $1 billion mark after growing by 35% to over $1,111 million in the calendar year 2021. India is among the top 7 trading partners of Peru. After recording an 88% growth the trade between India and Peru touched an all-time high of $3,620 million last year. We are the sixth largest export destination and ninth largest source of imports for Peru. However, both countries are far away from realizing their true potential. Pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, and healthcare are areas of potential in Peru for Indian suppliers and firms. The total import value of medicines is more than $1 billion. Currently, India is the second largest supplier of pharmaceutical products to Peru. There is still substantial scope for improving export of medicines, vaccines, and medical equipment. As Director, Department of Commerce mentioned, traditional medicine represents an area of convergence in case of India and Peru also. Peru imports engineering goods worth $18 billion per annum globally. 95% of these imports are iron and steel, articles of iron and steel, mechanical appliances, electrical machinery, automobiles, and miscellaneous devices. Our average share is over 2%, while it is 5% in case of automobiles. Indian automobile products, especially 2 and 3 wheelers, are popular among people of Peru. We are one of the main suppliers of automobiles and components as well as iron and steel products here. India is also a leading supplier of vehicles in less than 1000 cc bracket. Indian firms may look at expanding our share in $5.5 billion industrial machinery, $4 billion electrical machinery, $3.8 billion automobiles, $2.6 billion iron and steel and articles, $1 billion scientific and medical devices, and $230 million tractors import markets in Peru. Particularly, there is renewed interest to import tractors from India. Textiles is another promising area for business cooperation. Global import of textiles by Peru is worth $2 billion. India is the main supplier of cotton yarn. The quality of yarn imported from India complements the Peruvian industry. India is the second largest supplier of synthetic yarn. Man-made fibers, articles, and apparel and clothing could also be focus products. Peru imports chemical products worth $3.7 billion. The top 3 segments imported by Peru were miscellaneous chemicals valued at about $800 million, fertilizers at $578 million, and organic chemicals worth $567 million. India's share in Peru's chemical imports was 2.12% in 2019 at $78.9 million. This mainly included $35 million organic chemicals and $21.6 million dyes and pigments and $12 million miscellaneous chemicals. Opportunities exist in organic and miscellaneous chemicals, explosives and pyrotechnic products, dyes and pigments, fertilizers, essential oils and cosmetics, personal hygiene and cleaning products. Peru has harmonized its regulations on cosmetic products with Pacific Alliance and Andean Community. Friends, our lands continue to produce some of the world's best agricultural food and fruit products for human consumption. India's agricultural exports accounted for close to $15 million in 2019. This needs to be expanded. agricultural machinery and tools, farm equipment, and irrigation appliances, food processing units also enjoy market in Peru. There is so much that we can do together in the field of agriculture in terms of research collaboration and exchange of best practices. Peru wants to collaborate with India in renewable energy sector, solar plants and panels, power generation equipment, and electrical machinery represent an area of good potential. We signed an agreement on cooperation in new and renewable energy with Peru. This country joined the International Solar Alliance also. Installation of solar plants in remote and high altitude locations is an area of priority for Peru. In conclusion, let me invite Indian firms and suppliers to explore new business opportunities in Peru. Our embassy in Lima is ready to extend all possible assistance. I would like to once again thank the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for this opportunity to share these thoughts. Thank you, and I wish the BSM a grand success.
Thank you, Excellency, for your kind words. And yes, definitely, as you rightly said, the traditional medicine market of India is definitely something the world will look forward to. In fact, sir, under the support of Department of Commerce, PhD Chamber had mounted a delegation for a biocell limit to Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and I was part of it. It was a 1 week tour. And out of 25 companies, 18 companies represented the pharmaceuticals and the medicines and medicine sectors. And there were a lot of need for the Indian traditional and Ayurvedic medicines. So I think the Latin American countries also would, I think there's a lot of scope as well. And also, sir, as we all know that India achieved its export target of $400 billion recently, which was said. And in future, I think the region will also contribute whether we are able to export more and increase the export targets and achieve them once we start those businesses on the sector which you mentioned in the country. So I think there are a lot of scope, sir, and of course we look forward to the support of Department of Commerce to facilitate and allow us to take the Indian industry on a physical participation in countries like Peru, Bolivia, Cuba, and Brazil. So thank you so much, sir, for your kind words, and we look forward to more and more engagements, and we'll be also forwarding all the queries of the Indian industry who would like to have more information and support from the Indian mission over there, sir. So we'll be closely working with you and your wonderful officers. Moving on to our next speaker, we have Mr. B.C. Pradhan, the Deputy Chief of Mission, Embassy of India to Brazil. So, sir, we would request you to kindly address the Indian industry and provide them the important information which they would like to have in order to expand their businesses in the region, sir. Mr. Pradhan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Neeraj, for providing this opportunity. Respected Ambassador of Cuba in India, His Excellency Mr. Alejandro Simancas Marin, our Ambassador in Peru, His Excellency Mr. Subhai Raidu, Mr. Neeraj, Senior Secretary of International Affairs, PhD Chamber of Commerce, Mr. R. Arula Nandan, Director in Department of Commerce, all the participants here from India and also the Brazilian business establishments who are logged into. Very good morning from Brazil. I'm particularly delighted to be part of this Biosolar Meet. This pandemic has opened a new avenue of interaction through virtual power platform, and particularly it is a good opportunity, for business networking between two continents, Asia and South America, which is very far off. It takes at least 2 days to reach this continent, and we have to take 2 flights and more than 30 hours of travel. So this platform has provided seamless opportunity to, be a part of this buyer-seller meet from the virtual, the comfort of your home and office. Thank you very much for the, the Chamber of PhD Chamber of Commerce industry for organizing this event. So we talked about the focused approach of the government of India, led by the Department of Commerce, having a target of $400 billion trade. And as part of Latin American countries concerned, we're almost reaching the target, and particularly Brazil has already, crossed the targeted, export target last month of February. So March would be an additional bonus, above the target. And during the and the focus targets has helped, organize a lot of sector-specific events, and most of them happened through virtual platform. And despite the pandemics, the India-Brazil trade has grown over 63%, which has helped India reaching from 7th position, as the trading partner of Brazil to now 5th largest trading partner with a $11.53 billion trade with Brazil. So this has, attracted a lot of, business investment both from India and Brazil to do more trade because the trade volume has encouraged, the business establishments from both sides. We talked of the various sector. I fully agree with our Ambassador Peru's assessment of various sectors chosen by the PhD Chamber of Commerce country. There are, the potential sectors, and we are already doing a huge amount of trade. Over the last 20 years, the trade with India, trade with the Latin American countries has, grown over 10 times from like, couple of $1 billion trade in year 2000 to now this year probably will crossing $36 billion. So any, short-term annual target or probably a, long-term target of 5-year strategy, and if you pursue sector-specific, targets in a very focused manner, definitely our trade with this continent would increase. We must look at the, the size of the market here. It's a kind of more than $8 trillion economy and 650 million people, huge market, and a large segment of the, population is lower, income group or middle income group, and the growth rate of the continent is, in compared to the world GDP growth, more than 6% per annum we're expecting in the next 10 years. And that gives a huge opportunity, for bilateral growth. In terms of, sector of interest in Brazil, engineering goods doing very well, has already crossed, $1.3 billion trade, above the target by December. During the April-December, Indian export in engineering goods from Brazil has already, exceeded the annual target of 1.3 billion. Now, probably it will be, more than $1.5 billion at the end of this, financial year. And similarly, India has a more than 30% share in drugs and pharmaceuticals. That's also doing very well. Already, we have crossed $500 million export to this market, and all important pharmaceutical companies are present here. I'm happy that these participants here largely from, pharmaceutical sector here, including a couple of companies from Ayurvedic or Ayush sectors. As Mr. Aruranandan told about the market access in this particular, Ayush sector. So we are talking to the regulating authorities here, particularly the ANVISA, Health Regulatory Authority, to support India's proposal of the the standardization proposal at ISO. Brazil is a member of the 32-point group, in the traditional medicines. So we are talking to them, because Brazil itself has a very favorable regime for alternative medicines, and Indian many of such alternative medicines, the practitioners and institutions are connected to India, and they are some of them have done professional courses and practicing and importing a lot of processed drugs in this sector. So any effort in standardization would help trading in this sector, also promote compatibility in the different system we follow, also help interoperability. So we're working that, and despite these pandemics, the health, we have facilitated the ANVISA team visit. They have in the last 6 months, they have made around 4 or 5 teams have already visited various manufacturing facilities in India to inspect their facilities, so that they recognize, and then those companies exporting to the Brazilian market would have seamless export to this market. Also today we are will be after this meeting, we are also having conducting a virtual meeting between the Central Power Research Authority of India and the INMETRO in Brazil, but basically to have a mutual mutual acceptance of their certification to facilitate trading in electrical sectors. Though India has been of late exporting a large volume of electrical machinery and accessories, but the trade, India's export to Brazil is less than 0.5%. Though we export last year or this year will be exporting more than $8 billion. So this mutual recognition agreement by these institutions would help, or facilitate trade from both countries. Also, we conducted a joint working group, the first ever joint working group in health and medicine last month. So that also cooperating in many areas which would facilitate trading in drugs and pharmaceutical sectors. What we say, also, yes, I forgot to mention that the India Mercosur, the PTA which is signed in 2004, has helped our bilateral trade with the Mercosur countries to expand to accelerate the growth of trade between these two regions. The current India Mercosur PTA agreement for 450 products accounts for about 50% of trade, bilateral trade between these Mercosur countries and India. So we have been trying that to expand this 450 to more than 2,000 products. If that has, and when it happens, that will definitely accelerate the bilateral trade between these two regions. What I feel that which innovating our trade between these two regions, one is the distance, particularly logistical. The freight cost is very, very high, and also the absence of direct flight, between India and this, South America. Create a great hurdles, so it discourages business, the professionals visiting the countries from both sides. So to facilitate, further, trade between the two regions, both sides must work for starting a direct flight between the two regions. I think the tourist flow between the two regions has increased to a level that it is possible to at least start a weekly or twice a weekly flights between two regions. So we must work on that to facilitate trade between two regions. And the other is logistics. Probably the last month or in January, I think it was Department of Commerce or shipping industry. So our shipping ministry conducted a meeting of all the stakeholders, how to optimize the logistics, opportunity, or to facilitate the freight and the setting of the goods between the two regions. If we approach, make the concerted effort to address these problems, at least reduce the the time of the freight transport. Currently, it takes more than 90 days to ship from from one port to the other port. If you could reduce the time of transportation, it will definitely help and reduce the cost of trade and help accelerate the trade between two countries. Once again, I express my sincere thanks to the PhD Chamber of Commerce industry for organizing this event. Any effort you do definitely help accelerate our current bilateral trade. The opportunity is enormous. Any effort to do, we must, will help, the engaging the trade between the two regions. I wish all the participants, the buyers, the sellers of both the regions, a successful business networking and growth in their business. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, we do agree that in order for the Indian industry to actually expand the business in the region, the only thing which is hampering is the air connectivity. So as far as the large corporates of India is concerned, they of course they can go there and start their own manufacturing or set up their own plants. But when you talk of the actual companies, the small and medium entrepreneurs of India, which are very keen in exploring the newer markets, I think the air connectivity is one thing which will definitely help them. I mean, not a direct flight to each of the countries, but at least major hubs in Latin American countries, one direct flight, and then from there they can hop into other countries. I think this is something which the government can look into it, and in coming time, because the way Indian civil aviation is expanding within India itself, I think there must be some plans. But so until unless that happens, it will be a little difficult for us to convince the Indian industry, the small and medium industries, to actually explode and expand their businesses. But nonetheless, I mean, I think things will definitely happen. And as our missions over there are always ready to help the industry, so I think that's something which actually gives a lot of confidence to the industry over here, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for all the inputs you've given, and we'll of course share whatever queries we have with the Indian industry for the Brazilian market. We'll be in touch with you and your colleagues. Now we move on to our very important speaker, and he's very well known, and we all are very eager to hear from him. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Alexandros Simankas Marin, the Ambassador of the Republic of Cuba to India. Excellency, please.
Thank you very much. Please, first of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry and his authorities for these opportunities. We fully share the ideas and values that identify the Chamber through the words progress, harmony, and development. We fully agree that the economic growth is of little use if it is not reversed in progress, harmony, and development. We have the full will to reinforce the excellent level of our relations, and within this, we have the priority of giving a fundamental place to economic and commercial ties. Cuba wishes and works with India to be a leading actor in our national economic development plan for a long and reliable term. And we are working together, the Cuban and the Indian government, we are working together on that objective and creating different facilities. I want to convey to the PhD chambers of commerce and industry the friendly greeting of the chambers of commerce of the Republic of Cuba, whose president, Antonio Carricarte, is aware of this meeting and knows and appreciates the work carried out by the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In Cuba, a special incentive is being given to the development of micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we want to establish a cooperation mechanism between the Cuban Chamber of Commerce and the PhD Chamber, but particularly with the micro, small, medium enterprises facilitation and orientation center of the PhD Chamber. We are interested in exchanging experience in knowing the policies at the national and state levels on this subject. I would like to comment that particularly tomorrow, it will be held in Havana, an India-Cuban meeting on the development, sorry, ¿qué hago aquí? Sorry, we are in the hands of the technology. So, and I have a little help here. Alone, it would be impossible for me. So I would like to comment that exactly tomorrow it will be held in Havana, in India and Cuba meeting on the development of the small, micro, and medium enterprises with the participation of the Indian Embassy in Cuba and a group of small, micro, and medium Cuban companies, the Cuban Chambers of Commerce, and the Ministry of Foreign Trade. So the next edition of the Havana International Trade Fair will be held in November, between November 14 and 18. And we extend an invitation on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce of Cuba. We extend the invitation to attend, to take a delegation to Cuba. But at the same time, we held an invitation in order to have on the sidelines of this big event, a business forum on the micro, small, and medium enterprises, and to sign an agreement of collaboration and an action plan for the next year, for 2023, on this sector. This is an important sector for Cuba, and we will appreciate the collaboration we can establish with the PhD Chamber. I would like to mention very briefly the sectors which have identified and which consider that there are different possibilities for the bilateral trade and for the investment in Cuba. There is the IT sector, the communication, the software, which is very important for us, the livestock agribusiness, the biopharmaceutical sector, in which Cuba and India has a big strength and potential. We both have a very well developed biopharmaceutical industry, and we think that there are huge possibilities in order to complement each other, particularly in this sector. Cuba has developed 3 COVID vaccines and different treatments and different Cuban unique products and treatments, not only for the COVID, but also in different other diseases. So the biopharmaceutical sectors has a very important place in our economic and cooperation relationship. The agriculture, of course, is very important, and there are different opportunities in Cuba. Particularly, we are an important importer of rice, and we are importing rice from India. And in the coming months, we will be in a better capacity to increase the import of rice from India and others agricultural products, but particularly rice. The food processing industry is also open for the cooperation and for the bilateral economic projects in Cuba. And also another project is the sugar industry, which is a traditional industry in Cuba, in India, also in Brazil. We have been talking here about Brazil, but we need the investment in the Cuban sugar industry. We need the investment in the Cuban industry of the derivatives from the sugar industry. I mean the bioenergy, the molasses, the Cuban rum, and also the different kind of derivatives from the Cuban, from the sugar industry. Another important sector is the renewable energy. We count on India in our plan to increase the production of electricity from renewable energy sources. We are right now, Cuba is the president of the International Solar Alliance for the Latin America and the Caribbean. And we are a very proud member. We are very happy with this membership and with the collaboration we have with India in the renewable energy sector. Another sector is the natural medicine, the Ayurveda, the animal food, the transport in different fields, the maritime transport and the ground transport, the hydraulic treatment, the wastewater, the irrigation, and of course the possibilities to export to India the Cuban traditional products like rum, the cigar, which are the best of the world, and also the Cuban coffee. Very briefly now about tourism. Tourism is the most dynamic sector of the Cuban economy. The natural, historical, and cultural wealth of Cuba is immense. Its beaches are the best in the world, along with a tropical nature of forests and mountains, the colonial past, its revolutionary history, its central geographical location at the center of Latin America and in the Caribbean. The Cuban culture is unique, and the mixes of the European and Caribbean and the African roots. And in addition, Cuba is one of the safest places in the world. It is a healthy destination. More than 90% of the Cuban population is fully vaccinated against COVID. And it also has an inexhaustible wealth of the hospitality and warmth of the Cuban people. All these attributes have made Cuba an authentic place and one of the main tourist destinations in the region. The tourist indicators before COVID in the normality were the following. We used to receive almost 5 million tourists. We used to have more than 60 different foreign airlines going to Cuba. Cuba was connected with 45 of the most important cities of the world. And one important indicator, which is the tourist repeat rate regarding Cuba, it was 42%, which is a very high one. So it represents the quality of the Cuban tourism. So today, the Cuban tourism sector is completely open, not only for the tour operator activities, but also for the investment on the hotel, on the investment on the extra services or extra hotel services activities, also on the investment on the supply hotel industry. And we would like to have the Indian companies in that sector. Just as an example, I would like to say that there are in Cuba right now 5 hotels in beach areas administrated, managed by Indian companies. This is just an example of how we can do together in the tourism sector in Cuba. Talking about the foreign investment, I would like to say that it's absolutely open in Cuba to different sectors. We have a portfolio of opportunities in different sectors. Cuba, of course, has a geographical and privileged position. We are the largest country on the Caribbean. with the largest domestic markets on the Caribbean islands and with an expansion forecast over the present decade. Several factors position has made Cuba as a very attractive investment place. The Indian investment in Cuba will find a security climate, a favorable and safe and transparent legal framework, institutions that are at the service of the investors, a high education indicators, more than 25 different universities, which are already linked to the research centers and prestigious scientific institutions that can be linked and can be a part of an industrial chain together with a foreign investment, high indicators in social security and health of the population, infrastructure, availability of natural resources, the geographical location, which I mentioned already, a high scientific potential and highly qualified workforce with the ability to assimilate new technologies, a very important portfolio of opportunities. So there is an open framework for the foreign investment, which so far doesn't enjoy of the Indian presence, the Indian economic presence in the way we would like to be, and in the way that is in correspondence to the potential that is in the Indian economy. We would like to see more Indian companies in the Cuban economy investing in Cuba. There is a particular area I would like to mention, which is the Mariel Special Development Zone. The Mariel Special Development Zone provides a world-class production and logistic platform for the establishment of companies whose productions and services can be traded in the domestic market in Cuba or exported, and will benefit from the regulatory framework, incentive, and friendly business environment. The Financial Times magazine has awarded the Mariel Special Economic Zone in the category of the best zone to be considered in the future. So the possibilities are very high in that area. The Cuban government has invested an average of $300 million per year in that area. So the infrastructure possibilities, the road, the railway structures, the warehouse, the train center capacity are huge. And I repeat, there are companies from all over the world, including companies from the Southeast Asia, but not from India. So we would like to see the Indian companies in the Mariel Special Economic Zone. Finally, I would like also to comment about a very important area, which is the Scientific and Technological Park of Havana. This is a space that seeks to contribute with solution and integration to the management of the government, the business sector, the academia, and the entrepreneurship. In this way, the projects that are incubated in that institution can opt for line of research that add high value to solutions such as artificial intelligence and big data, grow in research, development, and innovation projects, and computerization of a state business sector, and in addition to promoting local development projects. We would like to see also Indian companies in the Scientific and Technological Park of Havana related to IT and development sectors, the software industry, the informatics. So this is just very briefly the different possibilities, the potentials that are, our bilateral economic and trade relations, which we consider are huge. And once again, reaffirming the will, the decision, both from the Cuban government and from the Indian government to reinforce the economic relations, the bilateral trade, and the financial relations. So once again, I really appreciate the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I would like to finish, if you allow me, with a small video about a Cuban economy. So is that okay?
Excellency. Sure, Excellency.
Okay. Thank you.
15 provincias y un municipio especial, 11.238.300, 11.238.317 habitantes y un abanico étnico y cultural revitalizador tienen capital en La Habana, legendaria ciudad a orillas del mar, viva y hospitalaria, como la giraldilla que preside una de sus míticas fortalezas. La República de Cuba ostenta una posición geográfica que la convierte en un óptimo centro económico. Con voluntad activa y participativa, una eco del mundo. Ya tenemos suscritos 21 acuerdos regionales, plurilaterales y bilaterales de complementación económica y alcance parcial con América Latina y el Caribe, y sostenemos relaciones comerciales con más de 75 países. Nuestros atractivos productos de exportación y su demanda internacional, más la estrategia de inserción internacional que se lleva a cabo en el sector de los servicios, ha logrado impulsar significativamente la comercialización de estos últimos, responsables hoy de más del 70% de las exportaciones cubanas. Aún así, la inversión extranjera es prioritaria para que el ritmo de crecimiento del PIB se incremente de forma sostenible. Es el momento. Ofrecemos ventajosas oportunidades a sus inversiones y aseguramos el cumplimiento de nuestros compromisos comerciales, garantizándole un cuerpo legal seguro y transparente. Nuestra estabilidad como nación, política, social y jurídica, ubicación geográfica de la isla en el centro de un mercado en expansión, con una zona especial de desarrollo con puerto moderno y regímenes y políticas especiales que ubica a Cuba como potencial centro de negocios en la región, la seguridad de todos nuestros entornos y la alta calificación de los cubanos son garantías. Cuente desde ahora con nuestros éxitos. Altos indicadores en materia de educación, seguridad social y salud de la población. Acuerdos internacionales de Cuba suscritos con la ALADI, CARICOM, ALBA, Mercosur, CDI, que dan acceso no solo al mercado cubano actual, sino al que está en desarrollo a partir del crecimiento del turismo y facilitan el comercio de los inversionistas con la región y otras partes del mundo. Política gubernamental que prioriza la investigación e innovación tecnológica, a partir de lo cual existen ventajas comparativas en los campos de la biotecnología y las ciencias informáticas para potenciar el desarrollo de nuevos proyectos. Instituciones de promoción al servicio de los inversionistas con profesionales a su disposición. Acérquese a nuestro ambiente de negocios. Nuestros objetivos meridianos son incrementar las exportaciones, la sustitución efectiva de importaciones, generar nuevas fuentes de empleo y lograr encadenamientos productivos en una constante articulación con la economía interna. Con toda seguridad, nuestra cartera de oportunidades de inversión extranjera, amplia y diversa, será de su interés. Lo invitamos a nuestro equipo. Ubicada al oeste de la ciudad de La Habana se encuentra la Zona Especial de Desarrollo del Mariel, primera de su tipo en Cuba con perspectivas de ser el principal foco de atracción para el capital y la tecnología foránea. Cuenta con la terminal de contenedores Mariel, la más moderna de las Américas. Lo esperamos en Cuba, la más prometedora plaza de inversiones en el mismo centro de un mercado en expansión.
Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Excellency. And we totally agree with your objective of connecting the PhD Chamber of Commerce with your Cuban Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for the update about the upcoming event tomorrow, and then followed by the business forum in the month of November. Excellency, we just like to inform you that PhD Chamber of Commerce Industry will be organizing the second edition of PhDCC International Week from 25th to 29th of April, wherein each of the days will be dedicated to a particular geography or region. So we have identified 29th of April for America's Days. So we'll be inviting each of you to join us physically as well as virtually. Of course, our excellencies who are based in Delhi, they'll be participating physically, and our missions, they can participate in a virtual mode. So that will be an opportunity after, I think, 2 years that, a physical event will be organizing, and it will have a lot of impact on the industry. And then after that, we can plan out our visit to the region, be it Caribbean islands or maybe the northern part of Latin American countries. So we know we have a lot of members. We as a PhD chamber, we are the oldest chamber of commerce in India. We are now in 216 years of our establishment, and we have a membership of over 150,000 members pan-India. So definitely there are a lot of interest in exploring new geographies, and of course we have established markets in Latin America. There'll be a lot of interest in physically exploring the region. So I think this is the first step we've taken in this year to start connecting with our counterparts in the Latin American countries. End of this month, end of April, we'll again have a physical event wherein we'll be inviting you all. And then we will draw plans how we can take the industry for a physical visit, because it is the industry who has to decide once they're there in the country whether they want, how and when they want to expand the business. We as a Chamber of Commerce, we can only facilitate. Missions like you can only facilitate and provide best information to the industry. I think this was a very good interactive session which we wanted to organize, and we've got that opportunity. And especially thanks to the Department of Commerce for giving us that opportunity to at least engage the counterparts through a virtual mode. And I think next year onwards, when the financial year begins, we'll get more opportunity from Department of Commerce to take our physical delegation to the country. So we'll be in touch with our connect in Department of Commerce, Mr. Anulandanji, and we look forward to a lot of support and guidance in terms of how we can be mounting those things. Our special thanks to our ambassador to Peru and Bolivia, His Excellency Mr. M. Subarayatuji, who took out time so early in the morning to join us for the session, and also Mr. BC Pradhan. A special thanks to His Excellency Mr. Alexandro Marin, the ambassador of Cuba to India, because I believe we started discussion a couple of months back when he sent his colleague to meet us, and that is how we have started, engaging and trying to convince the industry about the market. So there are a lot of things to happen, sir, and we'll keep on disturbing you. We look forward to a very close cooperation with all of you. And special thanks to all your colleagues in the missions who has been coordinating with me to make this event happen. Currently, there are over 160 participants who have joined us virtually, and they are all going to various Indian companies' exhibition booth, but the virtual booth which I had shown, and they're having one-to-one meetings as well over there. So whenever you have time during the day or maybe tomorrow, you can also go to those exhibition area and visit those companies and try to understand what are their expectations or what are their issues they might have in terms of exploring the market of Latin America. So thank you once again, sir, and we look forward to more and more interactions in coming time. Thank you so much, sir.
Very much, Mr. Kailas. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.